Good morning, everyone. It's Evan. Today is July 13th, Monday, 2026. It's 8:18 a.m. CT, and I already got messed up by a mosquito. I know I have the worst Mac on the planet and the worst iPhone on the planet, but I already got messed up. And this is just how my mind works. This is the reality of my life. I have an email from the Texas Public Health saying that they don't spray, and I'm like, okay, well, we're in 2026, so I don't care what your plan of action is or whatever. Do something. Like, I don't care if you freaking pray with the mosquitoes and hold hands with them or you freaking eat them. Just do something about them to stop them from attacking everybody in our community, but they don't care. And it's like the effort that they put into sending that email. Every time you send an email or every time you send any form of data, that's money spent and wasted. So I think about how much money was spent not just on labor because somebody had to send me that email, even if it's an AI populated email. That means they have to pay for a third party server to generate this AI response, which means that it's tethering off of some form of a network, which means they pay a subscription or some form of service activation fees, whatever, for that network, and then to send me the email and that transmission. Not only that, but it costs me on my end, right? So, mind you, who knows what their service provider is, and then it interferes with my network provider. That's a lot of time and effort and energy into one email. Mind you, they could have just sprayed for mosquitoes, or they could have put whatever out for mosquitoes, or checked how bad the mosquito problems are. And they should be doing it regardless because they should want to know the population out here. They should want to know real lifetime their migration and how they breed out here and at what rate they're breeding. But they could care less. And then I was like, over the weekend, because on Friday I prepared an email to send out because Rob Levine Law Firm withdrew or submitted a request, but as a veteran and under those policies and laws, I can appeal that. So I was just like, okay, well, I can send it right now and not care, but I am a perfectionist, and even though I'm really lax now compared to in the past, I think that can still fine tune it just a bit. And then I was just like to myself, you know what? I have a lot going on. So then Saturday was there here. I really just did my best to take it easy. And then Sunday, I went to church and I could have sent the email. I could have worked on it Saturday and Sunday. And I think it's just a lot catching up with me as far as like being behind on my homework and just everything that I have going on is as much as I try to stay positive and like, well, at least I have things to fill my day and keep me busy. That's just not the outlook that I have right now on my life because I think even when I went to church and we discussed like it's not about your ability but your availability, I think that for me it's more like I've discussed with and in the past I've discussed like when things become fused and together, and I'm very like I comprehend very well my physical ability. At the same time, it's like, you know, my morals tell me, and well, I've learned that have I interacted with people that win every game every time? Yes. Have I worked for those people? Yes. I've even fallen in love with people that have that, I guess, personality. So I was just like, okay, well, I need to be true to myself. And being true to myself is, although I have outgrown, I think that, well, it's not even so much outgrown that person, but I just don't know that individual anymore because of so much trauma that I have. So it's like can I see from photos, and do I have like very fragmented memories of how I approach things? Yes, but how I want to approach things now moving forward is with fairness, like Sunday, there's this Kanye West song where he says, they see they say the week starts on Monday, but the strong start on Sunday. And I could have sent this email yesterday. And at the same time, being in church, I see how when I give up on myself, the church doesn't give up on me, and God's people don't give up on me. More importantly, God's not giving up on me, and He is fighting all my battles for me, and He's already won. Sister Montgomery told me once, we know at the end of the day who wins at the end of the day. God wins at the end of the day. And I think that was the best piece of advice spiritually anybody could have given me, because it's like, regardless of what church operations or worldly operations or how we operate in life, even in a selfish way, God is winning at the end of it, at the end of every day, and really at the end of everything. So I was just at church, and I was like, I church hopped. I went to Oliver, one of my drivers, invited me to church, Venture Church down the street. So I went, and I had an okay time. And I mean, I see the people, like, I see what's going on around me. I see straight through people like John. I like his voice is so obvious. And then Kathy, or Chatty Kathy, referenced like the old doll way before anybody that's probably watching this even comprehends. So, Kathy really reminded me of somebody that means a lot to me. And even when I left church, I was just like, just talking to God. And I said, God, when I interacted with Miss Kathy, it reminded me of Miss Kelly. And Miss Kelly means the world to me. And I know there's nobody on the planet that prays more for me than her. And that's why I do my best to just behave myself and not cause a problem, or not cause problems, and not deal with issues, or tolerate issues. And there was a song at church yesterday that it just got me, like, in the way that it's so easy to sit here and say, I'm surrounded by people that don't understand me, and it's so easy to grieve. I've been asked, do I want to be in grievance groups? And the irony is that in my military service, I have grief counseling. So, I mean, I think that maybe for that might be like super minor, like underlying the fact that I at one point provided, or was a part of providing, such a form of support, and I saw nothing but the opposite. Like, I saw nothing but people being taken advantage of, or even hearing those stories. And so, or even the people, like even the chaplains committing those crimes, or even the chaplains being addicted to alcohol or drugs and things like that. So that I think is more in the category of my spiritual trauma. But what I'm saying in so many words is I could have easily, even this morning, it's 8:27, so that means East Coast, it's 9:27, and it took a while for my laptop to start up. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to start this every morning, then I need some time to set up my laptop, because I have a super awful, horrible old laptop that's on the fritz. And it took maybe like a good, maybe anywhere between 10, 20 minutes for it to reboot. And I had to get myself situated too. I mean, I took out the trash and back, and I got bit by a mosquito. And I came back, and I was like, okay, well, So this email that I'm going to send to the Office of General Counsel or these oversight entities, I'm just gonna fine tune it and send it. But I have to like prioritize. I mean, these like are situations that I have to deal with every day. Just like vlogging, like I'm sitting here contemplating, is this a waste of time or is it not? And the reality is that it's not a waste of time. Uh, I think this Sunday we were talking about like how God just uses what He has, and I think that I can finally be in a place of exercising my ego where I can admit that as a man that believes in science, it's really horrible when it comes out this way, but there's no other way to put it. I think that scientists and Christian scientists, we really do believe how creation is and how we are created, and it may be super ancient ideology, but there was a time and not so much of a way or place where, and it wasn't so much a society or a wealthy status as it was that people authentically had the belief that they were this mighty and this strong, like they were human. And that's how I believed for so long, and I felt very ashamed. Possibly Antonio Dover MTSC. Mr. Mendez. Hi, I'm doing okay. It's the same. Yes, I know. I spent time with a provider this week at VA, and they told me that they may be able to write a letter with my OT at VA. Okay. Okay. I understand. Yes. It's just something that's holding me back in my courses, and hopefully today I'll get in touch with somebody with finance at the college. I got a point of contact to see if they can pay for one of my books, and I emailed them the information you sent me. Yes. Yes. I tried to use it on one of the websites, but it says it couldn't find it. So I'll reach out to them today and see if they can fix it or see what's going on. Correct. I've been using a tablet maybe like a tablet or a touchscreen laptop. I can. I just got set up with a new OT this past week, and I got their card. Do you want me to see? How do you want me to arrange that? Do you want them to write me the letter and me send it to you? Okay. 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 And correct. Yes. Okay. I just got set up with them this past week. It's a brand new OT that I got, and they said that they're able to do that. So I'll get in touch with them today and see when or if they can provide that to me so that we can get it sorted out. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay. Sounds like a plan. And also for I'm already signing up, and hopefully this week I get set up for fall semester. Do you want me to send that itinerary over, or okay? I'll get. Not yet. Course isn't over yet. I sent you the last one. Like I sent you the correct, but I'm still finishing up this summer. Okay. Yes, I did that over the weekend. I chose, I think, three courses that I was interested in and how they pertain to my career. I know I have to stick to the ones that pertain to writing career, so I picked three, and hopefully I'll get set up with somebody at the college to get it sorted out. And once I get it set in, I'll save the itinerary or the syllabus or whatever they give me, and I'll send it over. Let me check. It just usually comes in through EVA. Let me check. It does, but when it comes to me, it just says EVA. And okay, when I get the email, that's what it comes up as. Like when it's sent to me, it has your signature line. It says you, but it just says EVA at va.gov. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. You take care. You too, bro. That was my voc rehab counselor. They give me a hard time. They're saying don't send to EVA doc whatever. Send directly to them. Okay. Yes. Well, I got set up with a new OT, and actually, I think that I mean it was little things that I did. Like I was squeezing things. It made me tired. So, anyways, it's stuff like that that I have to deal with. Like it shouldn't be this difficult for me to get accessibility devices and be able to go to school because it's really holding me back. Like I used to type like a beast before, and I used to have all kinds of cool stuff before. I lost everything, so now like I do my best. Tonight I have my sleep study, but anyways, what I was getting at with so many words is like I have to prioritize what's at the top of my list. And at the top of my list is fine tuning this email, sending it over, and I have bigger fish to fry than the whole mosquito thing. But at the same time, it's like this is the reality of life. Like one of these mosquito bites, I can get Zika, and Zika is something that no one on the planet, unless like look at the frenzy, the fear that came in through COVID, and like with Zika, I think Zika has just been so around so often, but I think the reality is that COVID has been around just as for a very, very long time. And COVID was one of those diseases or viruses or whatever you want to call it. COVID was one of those where it was only found in like third world countries or like super, super disgusting environments that it was breeding and thrived, and then suddenly like it came over here to US, and it's like okay, like this is something that is common and zoonotic, and I think that's one thing that is like very scary to me because I'm just like I see all of these scientists and biologists and researchers just either being murdered, dying, dead, disappeared, or missing. And that's super scary to me. Like, I wonder, one, like, why is this a thing that's even happening? But then I think, two, Like, I think in a more emotional way, maybe not a more like analytical way, I think to myself, like, I know the feeling of like, this is what you go through every day, and it is exhausting. So it's like, I can only imagine if what I go through every day and I face my crap, I can only imagine what they go through. Like, these are people that they don't face it out of fear. And who knows what they get into and what leads to them, but I actually face my stuff, and I'd rather face my like I I have been working and really understanding where I am at now, and that I have a community that I can be a part of that cares about me and supports me, and I want to show that back in return. Like, my sister has a horrible neighbor in the sense that they don't take care of their house, and I do my sister's groundskeeping, and like, I could be a huge jerk and like not care about, like, sometimes I want to blow across the street because I feel bad that I'm leaving a mess in the street. So sometimes I'm like, man, like, but at the same time I'm like, I'm not gonna go over there and they're gonna think I'm a weirdo. Like, I'm not gonna, at least I'll clean up my sister's portion of the road. And I just feel like I want to, I can't, I used to maybe once upon a time be that superstar guy, but I just, maybe I still am in a way to some people. I just can't take on the world like I used to anymore. And I think that I've learned that just by doing simple acts of kindness, just authentically as they come, like, really just be kind, then that's super transformative. Like, I go to church every weekend in the hopes that, you know, others see me go to church every weekend, they start to have faith in themselves. Like, even believing in themselves more, to me, makes a difference. So even this morning, I was like, okay, well, what's more important, me working on that email or me making the vlog? And I'm like, me making the vlog because if I make this video vlog, I'm already ahead of the game in so many ways. One, a lot of people, they don't like to put themselves out there unless they look so pristine, buttoned up, tied up. If they have the HD 4K 1080p cameras, lights, and I think for me, it's like, I'm raw, I'm live, I'm unscripted, and maybe that's what draws people into my content. I don't know. I can only speculate. And also, that's another, like, if I really want to go down that topic, that's a whole other, like, thing that I face, in the sense that it may not mean much to most people, but it does to me. Like, I'm on live right now, for instance, right? And it says, "Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Learn more." So that's the thing. It's like, when you understand systemic corruption, in the sense that how YouTube manages and micromanages its data and transfers it and makes money off it, no one's going to care except for somebody like me. And the thing about it is, when someone like me, or like even these scientists and researchers, try to share very important information with the world because they discover it. And like, imagine discovering something that's so urgent, you know, it being your job, and you discover it, and then you tell the people that you work for and they do everything to cover it up. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I can only imagine what they go through. Like me, I discovered it with technology and cars, and these people discover it with actual diseases, bacteria, zoonotic diseases, diseases that are carried from all forms of species to human beings, and vice versa. I mean, I'm sure that it just drives them off the walls because they're like, they have to live with this. They have to live with, like, I just discovered something that's super dangerous, and I'm trying to tell everybody, and nobody wants to listen to me. So it does build a curiosity to me, and I think I deal with it more in a technological sense because I'm like, it's not that I'm paranoid and I think, oh, the game is rigged, but It's like it's just how the systems are set up. It's just how the softwares are set up. Mind you, I can instantly live stream right now on YouTube, but yet when I go to I mean, the software is just unreal. Like I have watched an old like 1990s, 80s, 90s, somewhere around there video of Martha Stewart teaching people how to use a like an actual computer, not a laptop, like an actual I guess desktop, and how to use the internet. And that software and Martha Stewart teaching that is way better than modern day VA software systems. It's wild to me. And I was just like, wow. Like, I mean, I just, I really, I don't get it. And like one of my providers told me recently, they're the VA, they're the government. You'd think they'd have the best technology just there for them and the best things, and they just don't. So I think that that's more my realm of things. But what I was saying in this sense is that I have to deal with obstacles, maybe not in the way that everybody else does, but I think that for me, it's difficult because modern day technology is embedded in everything, even in some people's brains, literally. And I think that when the system is set up in such a way, and the society and the environment and the ecosystem is set up in such a way where justice is far behind technology. So many, even medical, I mean, I just talked about it, even the VA, government systems, everything that you can think of in the world is behind, and technology is not. And even though, like, for instance, I ordered these pair of headphones, and even though, like, I ordered these on Walmart, they had, I think I tossed all the packaging away, but they had, I took a million photos. They had QC, like little QC, how do you say, not flyers or brochures, or I guess part of the packaging had these little QC labels, like that they were QC inspected. And then the hygiene strips for the ears, they should have been placed. I understand what they were doing. They wanted to block the, I don't want the prongs, like the tiny prongs to charge. They wanted to block the prongs from the earpiece. But my thing is like, how am I to know that people didn't put that earpiece in their ears? There should have been maybe another thin film or something on, like, even if I'm not saying adhesive because adhesive is irritating, but I'm just saying they could have at least put like a thin film over the earpiece. Even if it was like a piece of thin plastic, like the static from that thin film would have attached to the earpiece, and I would have been fine with that. I would have been like, you know what, that's hygienic for me enough. At least they tried or they made the attempt. And so, like, I could you see these little prongs. So the adhesive or the hygiene strip was over the prongs. But on this portion, I'm like, how am I to know that someone didn't put this on? I can't. And like somebody fiddling with it or down to, like, even here they put a piece of plastic, which is fine. Like this really cusped in there. Well, it's just a gloss, I think. Let me see. Yeah, it's just a gloss, but they had like the papers in here. It said QC, and there was a lot of typos in it. Which I'm not saying the typos made it sketch. I mean, like things happen, but at the same time, it's like if you're quality control and if you're reading the manuals and you see typos, like that's part of QC. It's like letting someone know, like, I have an appointment. But that's part of QC. Part of QC is finding these things and letting somebody know in the assembly line or anyone know, like, hey. And the thing about this is like these headphones, I think, I don't know, I don't really know, because to know something you really got to have all the information. But I think, and I'm almost positive, that these headphones are way better than any Apple AirPods at all. Like, Apple AirPods are garbage compared to these. Like, can I sit here and gripe and complain about this is not what I ordered, this is not the color? Yes. And the hygiene strips, yes. And did they come all laced up and glossy in a gloss? No. It came in the most sus packaging, and I got the most sus junk email. These were super sus, but for the price that I paid on Walmart, and Walmart actually took my concern seriously. I told them, hey, with all these cooties and stuff going on, and you have to be careful. So I face things in a technocratic way, and facing things in a technocratic way, people will always call you nuts, crazy, or they don't understand it, or they don't see it. Like, I feel like, do I have to sit here and be so lax because I already know that things are in my favor? No, because that's complacency. But also at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and be an a hole to everybody that doesn't understand technology. And I think that that's really easy to assume about me, when they never saw the Evan that sat there and had patience with the recruit off the streets that wanted to learn how to be a service technician. I would sit there and I would teach young younger people younger than me, and I would teach them how to remove and replace car repairs, certain car repairs. And I had that patience. I think I had way too much patience. And even when I was around jerks and jerks who had a lot of envy towards me in the workplace, I did what I was told all the time. Evan, I had people apologize to me in the past because I was too smart. Like, they didn't have a technician to train me or to pair me up with, and they would just be like, "There's nobody here to pair you up with or to send you out with at your skill level." So they said, "Just go through all the chemicals." And I did. I went through the shop. I reorganized the entire everything and went through parts. And I was always that guy that, you know I think I did the right thing too much all the time. And now I'm just like, I'm very strong in my faith, in my spirituality, in my religion, in my belief, in my identity. And I I do my best to not just advocate for myself or others, because the others part, that's not really, there's nothing really I can do about that, the others part. Someone's doing their job. So I'll jump off now. But the best thing I could have done for myself this morning and my mental health was make this vlog and really just share with people and everybody. Like, I think I can do better at bringing these down, but at the same time, as far as time, at the same time, the reality is, like, these are things and thoughts that go through my mind. And I have nobody to talk to. Like, I can't talk to my family about it. My family always thinks I make a big deal out of everything, or they have enough stress as it is trying to take care of a brother that has partial paraplegia, is in such an awful state. Mind you, I am a very strong man, and I really pick myself up and move around when everything in the world has been against me, and made it to where I basically be dead. So I have that strength and that resilience in that sense. And I have the VA, which is a huge part of my trauma. A lot of those people in the VA have retaliated against me, trash talked me, disrespected me, violated me, sexually harassed me. I've been through so much at the VA. And outside of the VA, like I was in corporate isolation for the longest time. From 2022 to 2024 5, I was, so not too long ago, I was in corporate isolation. I was isolated from everybody that allegedly supported me, and I grew as a young man, adult in my professional career. They just ghosted me, and I was the king of ghosting. So I think that's saying a lot. Like, I was the king of ghosting. I think more emotionally than any other way, but also I think to be fair, on the other side of that, I always let people know that talk about cars with me, and I'm always there. But any other thing, I'm sorry, I'm not just. It's not that I'm being a jerk. I just really don't know how to meet you there. But now I've learned to meet people there emotionally, and when I'm guarding and protecting my peace and harmony, I've learned that if I can meet people there when they have some form of brokenness or break in their peace and in their harmony, then that's that says a lot about me. Like, that says that I can eventually show that person, like, there is an eventually, there is an after this and something next. That this isn't forever, it's just for the moment, and there's a way. And so today, like, priority is making this vlog, and probably every morning, and I'm sure that the vlogs will get shorter and shorter and shorter. And but I think, like, me taking care of myself is doing this, is having some form of evidence. And I think that it is archaic that a lot of evidence nowadays, one, a lot of a lot of the evidence, I don't think modern day people in place or investigators or officers, I mean, me, because of what I've gone through, do I have the knowledge of it? But the reality is that modern day organizations and agencies and people that work, they don't have that comprehension of understanding that at the end of every single crime or evidence, like, I've learned not to gatekeep, and a lot of these people gatekeep their jobs, which is sad, because that's why a lot of cases go cold and stay cold. I learned in one of my classes that just from one single blood drop, one, you can tell an entire story, and you learn the whole truth. So it's really not Hollywood, like, with all this blood splatter and all this stuff and all this blood. It literally only takes one drop. And in scientific terms, if you know that unit, then you understand that that is fact. Like, fact is that it's one drop that tells an entire story. And I think that so many people struggle with their belief systems that I'm just confirming all my appointments for VA, that they don't comprehend, and it's gonna say, thanks for confirming. It's gonna beep again. So that's just the reality of how the world is and how I see it. I woke up today around 6. I pushed my alarm back an hour to 7. I made sure to be awake and live and online because I'm mindful of their time, but obviously they're not mindful of my time. That means it's 8:58. That means it's 9:58 over there. So they know very well that it's almost 9 o'clock. It's 2 minutes from 9 o'clock my time. So I'm as mindful of their time, and clearly they're not mindful of my time. So at 9 a.m., I mean, 9 a.m. my time, like that's being real. Like that's fairness in all things. And I was fair to myself and compassionate to myself. And so often with my trauma, with my physical trauma, I have had so many people tell me walk in faith and heard walk in faith so much. And I think that faith is okay and I think that hope is okay. But I think that my faith just doesn't align to a majority of what other people, like a lot of the planet's faith is. I heard something factually yesterday. I was watching a case and they said that, and this was in an older time, this case, like this was an old case. And they said that in that case, they said 99.9, like almost 100% of genetic DNA, all humans match. There is just like that, I think it was just like that 1% or less than 1% that, and it may be few less than that, but there is like 1% or less. That's what makes the difference in our genetic makeup. And that is logic and it's factual science, and it makes sense why we as humans match that way almost 100% because we are all one over all 100% the human species. We are all 100% humans. Like my teddy bear is in the corner over there, but a lot of people know that I have my teddy. And so this was one of the investigators, but then I think it was like one of like this is maybe somebody more that's immersed as far as how do I say putting the pieces of the evidence together, and then the detective, the more law enforcement, because I think I'm trying to specify. A lot of people say investigator, investigator, agent, agent. But they're different. So one of the law enforcement, like one of the cops, detectives that's doing the interview, he and this is mind you, this is an old case, and I'm almost positive it's in Texas. And this guy, he was very, I think I don't want to say he was bold, but in a way he was because, and I don't want to say he was humble because he wasn't humble. He was speaking truth, but he was bold and he knows and has all of this because of the investigator. So the technology in this case was in that time frame. I think it was in the 80s. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive. But in that time frame, the officer says, like we like to say in law enforcement, he even said at that time we did not have this type of technology, which is you hear that all the time. We did not have that type of technology. Forensic DNA was not as advanced or whatever, but that's usually the verbiage in that script. And he says, well, he has, like, he already knows all the information, all the evidence that the killer's right in front of him. But I like the way that he logically broke it down. Like, he openly says, he says, I know nothing about science, I know nothing about forensics, and I know nothing about, he said, but what I do know is that you're made up of this. This is the percentage, and this is the percent that makes us different. And he breaks down the DNA, and I think that that's the reality of he's speaking the truth. He's speaking the truth to systemically how things are. Things are that law enforcement, they do not have any form of comprehension of how these things are analyzed, and that's part of the problem. I think that's part of the problem that I have seen because they're part of the problem. That's part of the problem. The perfect example is what happened to that John Gabriel Mendoza kid. You know, I reported these people, the law enforcement. From what I saw, that makes me unsafe, and here they are proving me right. And it's not about right or wrong, as it is upsetting. Someone lost their life because someone like me was called crazy, not heard. They disregard me, and I wouldn't pass it by them if they thought Mendez Mendoza, they thought this guy was me. I really wouldn't cross it by them because they're that stupid. They're that dumb. And I think to myself, that could have been me. God protected me from those idiots time and time again. And it makes me just super sad that this is the reality of my life that I have to deal with. But I hope that I can be strong enough to not be cowardice. Like, and I'm not saying that those other scientists, researchers, biologists, geneticists, or I'm not saying that they were cowardice, but I think that the hardest thing to do is not give up. Like, I gave up on myself at one point, and I think that there was one point even with Adult Protective Services where I felt, oh, I've been baited. I've been There's been so many things that have been done to me, but I'll tell you this: at the end of it all, I become a more powerful person in the world because of how my identity is not to be probed, and even in these situations and circumstances, there are laws that protect. And how I've learned this is going through idiots, going through a bunch of idiots that think that they're these super secret 007 weirdos, or that they're just these, I don't know, they're just weird people that think there's some. I like to say everybody wants to play Inspector Gadget with no gadget. You know, everybody wants to be so covert and they don't understand themselves. So that's dangerous in and of itself. And my thing is like, I I shouldn't have this comprehension, but I'm glad that I do, because that I know that moving forward, never again will I allow anybody to do these things to me. Like, I see straight through my providers that I've interacted with. Like, I see straight through them. But what am I gonna do? Like, I know that you don't do any. My grandma says nobody leaves this world without paying their debts, and just because my mom says the same way you get it is the same way you lose it. So if you're getting paid to manipulate, to mess with me, to gaslight me, to probe me, to bully me, to hurt me, to harm me, guess what? I don't wish anything upon you, but the same way you gain something is the same way you lose it. So chances are you'll lose the same money you were paid to harm me in a harmful way, because that's blood money. Essentially, and yes, I've been unemployed since my workplace accident since 2022, and then going into 2023, I was dumb enough to go back to work, and that was just like worse, made matters worse. But I can say that I never accepted any form or type of money in the sense that it ever involved anybody getting hurt. And one of my caregivers, Miranda, she said, I'm all for everything as long as nobody is in danger of losing their life. And, it's like everybody's entitled to live their life safely. And this is what I do for my own safety. I vlog. I do this so that there is some form of evidence or something showing in the case of something happens to me. I woke up around, I got up out of bed around, I think it was actually like closer. It was maybe 7:30 to 8. Showered, rinsed. I didn't brush my teeth because I brushed them late last night at midnight. I had a super horrible, terrible head, neck, upper shoulder pain, and right now it's going down towards like maybe right here. My lower back's been much better. Tonight's my sleep study. I have trouble breathing in my sleep, so I'm over that. I'm tired of it. I hope they get answers tonight. And I need to get some breakfast in, and then fine tune this and send it. And after sending it, I don't know what's next. I guess catching up on work, and the mosquito stuff. It's sad. But at this point, the reality is that it is an issue. Like, I can get a disease, and like, who cares enough? Dr. Seuss said something along the lines like, it takes one person to care enough or something like that. I don't know. But that's my life. I have a pile of paperwork underneath me that I'll probably make another vlog after I send the email because I like to make these vlogs of like papers that I have before I throw them away so that there's like proof that I had gone through this or that there's papers. I don't know. All right, peace out. I got to get to it.